Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. On today's episode, you're gonna hear my conversation with a friend of mine, Dan, who's gonna share with you a very personal story of his weight loss journey. He lost 70 pounds and then after some time he gained it back 100 pounds, 30 pounds surplus. And he's going to share with you how hard it was and how it happened. And also he's going to share with you his fears of not really believing at the moment that he can do that again. That he can lose weight, get healthier, and adjust his lifestyle. So this time the change sticks with him. So tune in to our conversation. We're going to talk about the mental aspect of weight loss, of yo-yo weight loss and weight gain. We're going to also talk about this very important thing, accountability, and how it is important to not try to do it alone, but actually open up to other people, people who you feel comfortable with, people who you trust, people who care about you, genuinely care about your success and your well-being, and how that can be the missing piece in your weight loss or health journey to succeed, to reach your goal ultimately, and to stay with that result, with that success. But besides all the mental things and what you can do about it, we'll also talk about details like sweeteners. Should you use any to deal with your sweet cravings? And if so, which sweeteners are the best and which sweeteners you should stay away from? Should you take any fat burners? Are there any fat burners that actually work? And what about other supplements? Are there any supplements that I recommend and that I think you should take to assist your weight loss? Can you lose weight without counting calories, eating all the foods you want if it's healthy, whole foods, unprocessed, or should you count calories? Intermittent fasting. Does it work for fat loss, for weight loss? Does it help you to burn more fat? Or what does it do? How it can help you? Sweet cravings. How to deal with them, how to handle them, what to do when you have this urge, like burning urge to eat something sweet right now. What to do about it? Hunger. How to eat to feel less hungry. What foods promote the most satiety for longer and leave you fuller for longer without cravings for anything, any kind of food? Late night eating. What time is late for eating? When should you stop eating when it comes to your sleep for better digestion and better sleep quality and ultimately better results with your weight loss, fat loss? So all these details and many others besides, Dan's fascinating story, you're going to hear on today's conversation. So stay tuned and as usual, till next time, eat better daily. Dan, officially welcome to Food School Podcast, and thank you for your time, and thank you for willingness to share your story, and hopefully help with your story a lot of other people on their health or weight loss journey. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Dan, tell our listeners and tell me a little bit more about yourself, your story, and especially about your health and what you might be struggling at the moment with.
Yeah, sure. I've been born and raised in Sarasota, Florida. It's where I currently reside. Um, my story has been one of, weight loss has been something that I have dealt with probably my entire life, I would say. As a kid, I got a little, got heavier as I was going through middle school and high school. I began to gain weight just from, you know, not doing a lot of extracurricular activities. Um, and then I was well over 300 pounds when I graduated high school. Um, and I got into the working world, and that just kind of continued that cycle of, uh, weight gain and not having the appropriate weight control. I really didn't focus on it. I didn't think about it. I just, I went to work. And then fast forward, probably in my mid 20s, I started wanting to do it and wanting to lose weight because I saw that I was unhealthy. And so I tried with moderate success, I would say, to do it. I think I had mentioned to you, uh, and you had actually shared in our last podcast that I had lost about 70 pounds
Mm-hmm.
through healthy eating, exercise. But then I think I shared with you that I just never mentally knew how to change those behaviors. Um, so then when it got tough, which it happens in life, I just went back to the normal way that I was eating before. And I thought that, oh, well, I've lost 70 pounds. I'm great.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can eat whatever I want. Shoot, metabolism's good. I'm good. And what I found was that wasn't the case. So then I went into my 30s, and it got harder to lose weight. And uh, then I started kind of doing the yo-yo thing, where you're always trying the next thing to lose weight, always trying the next fad or whatever it might be, like
Yeah.
just eat cookies, only eat cookies. That'll you'll lose weight. There's all these fad diets. So I tried that through my 30s, and I again moderate success, 20, 30 pounds down, feeling pretty good. No mental changes, no changes to my habits or behaviors, except for a short amount of time. It was kind of
Mm-hmm.
all or nothing, is the way it's been. So if I'm dieting, and my friends can tell you, when I'm doing it, I'm
Mm-hmm.
hardcore. I'm all in, like as lean as possible. And then when I'm not, I'm as far the other direction as you can possibly go. And I think that is, that's not healthy. And I know that that's contributed to a lot of inflammation and other things that I've dealt with. So now, approaching my 40s, I find myself thinking about and reflecting on this journey and thinking about that I want to be around for a lot longer than just what I've already experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's probably a lot of people that would be in that same position that have done it their whole lives. And, I want to be, it's very sobering when you think about, retiring and the end of your life and things like that. And, just wanting to be around for the long haul. And, there's not a lot of people I know in my circles
Mm-hmm.
that are older, who are retired, who are living a long, healthy life that are overweight or obese. And that's really eye opening for me, and kind of the reason why I've reached out to you and been asking you the questions offline that we've been talking about,
Mm-hmm.
because I recognize that, um, you know, this behavior and this obese lifestyle is one that, has a short life. And I want to make sure that that changes. And that's kind of what's led us to where we are today in our conversation.
Mm-hmm. Then, well, thanks for sharing this part of your story. But I'm really curious about like weight. What does it mean for you, to be in a healthier weight? Like besides having, additional pounds of weight or fat, uh, does it make you feel like health-wise, energy-wise, not as great as you'd like to feel? Like
Yeah,
any,
that's a
any
great question.
health issues or anything like that that motivates you?
Sure, I'll share that with you, Angela. I appreciate you asking that. Yeah, so the biggest health issues are um, inflammation in my knees. Um, my doctors had said I had mild arthritis, but the weight, I think one of my doctors had told me that, when you're losing weight, it's 4 pounds of pressure for every pound you lose off
Hmm.
of your knees. Um, and, when you have a significant amount of weight to lose, that can play a big role. And so, I've had knees that ache all the time, my back, it aches a lot. And, it just, you feel run down, and you deal with a lot of inflammation and a lot of pain on a daily basis. I can't tell you the last time I ran anywhere. Um, from a fitness
Hmm.
standpoint, I walk on a treadmill, but uh, certainly running is not an option. Also, just from an emotional standpoint, I uh, being how would I say it? Being overweight has some emotional uh, issues to deal with as well. Obviously confidence
Hmm.
and being confident, feeling confident in what you're doing, but also there's an element of depression and things like that from an emotional standpoint where you just feel like you're not at your best,
Hmm.
and you kind of feel like you're trapped and you're not really sure how you're going to actually get out of that. And so it kind of creates this cycle where you're depressed and you feel bad. So you go eat something
Hmm.
that's high in sugar and high in carbs, and it makes you feel better, because the food, um, you know, it gives you a little bit of a high for a little while, and it kind of makes you feel better, kind of about the situation. And that's a real dangerous game to play because it ends up being this cycle where you feel bad and then you go eat something and you feel better. And then when you get low again, you do the same thing. And it just kind of starts to create this snowball of weight gain.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that. For when it comes to my personal story, I never was overweight, but I think that's because I'm like too sensitive to food, meaning one day of eating something junk or something just that just doesn't work for my body, and I feel those like thoughts and anxiety and something that is not depression
Mm,
but getting close to that. So every time, and I'm a very reflective person, meaning whatever happens to me, I like start, eternal dialogue very fast, and I understand where it comes from. And so I made this connection between food and how like my thoughts go and my mood and my energy levels long time ago. That's why I I guess I tried my best and put all my efforts into figuring things out and just working on it till I figure it out as soon as possible, because I like it's for me it was like day and night, when uh and still is. I just don't eat, that food that makes me feel bad anymore. But if I eat today, the food that works for me 100%, I feel amazing. Like energy levels, confidence, and my thoughts and my sense of well-being. When I eat something that just doesn't work for my body, I start having this anxiety, um, not attacks, but kind of like just not feeling at peace and thinking about what other people think about me or thinking about like problems that can come up in my life. So I totally can understand, that emotional part of it, even though like, for you it probably also much harder because the world right now and people around us, uh, it just not easy for anyone. And especially when you feel like you're not doing your best or you're not completely confident in yourself and you're not feeling physically well, that might be overwhelming. And food, especially
yeah.
processed food, just wanted to say, it has those addictive and drug-like properties. It calms us down, it makes us feel better, and when we don't have a lot of other tools to kind of distress and relax and make ourselves feel better, then yeah, food is like an easy option.
Yeah. And I think, too, one of the things that I'm learning in this process is that having a support system is important. Um, I've tried to go at this alone for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of those things where I used to joke around like nobody else knows that I'm on a diet except for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like if I don't tell anyone that I'm doing it, if I fail on my diet, then I don't have to be accountable to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can just I can just try it, and if it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. Nobody really knows that I did anything. And I think there's something to be said about accountability and about having someone who can be in your corner and push you to make those changes. Because, point, Angela, food is food. If you put that in front of you, it shouldn't have any control over you in terms of the actual food itself. So, and as you and I have been talking, I'm realizing that there's a lot of behaviors that become patterns. And what happens is those behaviors just continue to be um, executed in your life, and you just keep doing those over and over and over again. It becomes second nature to you, and it becomes a habit and not a good one. And if there's no one in your corner to tell you, hey, you're doing the wrong thing, you need to do something about that, then you just keep doing it. And you don't have to answer to anyone. And so I think the most important thing that I'm realizing is to open that area up as hard as it may be, uh, to let people in to help, because there's people like you and many other people who are able to speak into this uh, situation. Um, they're in the industry, they're educated, and certainly know the traps, the falls, and how to be successful in living a healthy lifestyle. So I think it's important that we let people in, and we let someone in. We have to trust the process and trust that there are people out there, like you said, who will help us.
Yeah, and not just to push us, but to also um, help us to see a bigger picture and perspective. For example, and it's our human nature. We're humans. We're not perfect. So sometimes we will not do our best, and even having like the best intentions and doing our best, sometimes we will not follow our diet precisely or perfectly, whatever that is, whatever that means for us. But then people outside can help us to see bigger picture, that we indeed made progress. And if we did something wrong today, doesn't mean the whole thing is ruined, or we're bad people, or we're broken somehow. And just having someone to remind you that you still did that progress, and there is another day tomorrow, and you can start again, and not just from the beginning, but from another point, because you've already made this progress. And yeah, just having someone to allow us also and help us to relax and distress in other ways, and not thinking about food, not having that as the only tool to relax and um, to I don't know, feel better. That's
Yeah, and I think Angela, the most important thing here too, or just another important aspect of this is, we've been taught and we've been conditioned that we need to step on a scale. It tells us this number, and then we go by whatever that says.
hmm
So, if that says that I'm a terrible person because it's more than it should be, then I take that personally, and then I can literally ruin an entire day by stepping on the scale. And I think what's important to understand, and something that I have learned from talking with you offline and just sharing back and forth, is that something that you even said in your last podcast about beginning again and about starting those journeys. Just remind yourself, just we're going to begin again. I'm going to be a better person today than I was yesterday, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a scale related thing.
Yeah.
If I ate right and I did good and I'm making changes there's no way to monitor. I mean, maybe I lost fat, maybe my body is changing physically because I'm lifting weights, but the scale's not reflecting that. So, I'm being encouraged just more and more as I talk to you and as I'm learning to just, set that aside and really celebrate the journey.
Yeah, I mean, the journey is what's most important. Uh, you only have today, and you gotta be able to enjoy this day, like no matter what, because nobody's guaranteed, another day or another week or another month. And it's not being negative; it's just the way things are in life. And so, delaying your happiness or feeling good for, I don't know, till you reach some number on the scale, it just isn't practical. And again, nothing is guaranteed, but you can make yourself feel better today, like no matter what that number says. And also, to give you a little bit perspective, no matter how much, well, it probably does matter, but at 300 pounds or 200 pounds, there are athletes who weigh that because of their muscle mass, because they do
Hmm.
powerlifting or some other sport. And that number, it's very relative, like to anything in life. It doesn't say anything at all. Like, for example, in my weight, some girls might think that they're fat at the same weight, and that doesn't mean anything, like, to me,
Yeah.
because I have certain lifestyle. I feel great. My health is great. So why does it matter? What the scale says? It can say anything.
Yeah, I
Have
think if we're
yeah.
making those positive choices, every day, like you had mentioned, begin again. If we're every day we're saying to ourselves, okay, I'm going to make the best choices possible today, then, I think certainly the scale can be a gauge at some point, maybe once a month or once a week, however you want to do it. But I think the bigger question is if I've changed my lifestyle and I'm healthy, then I'm winning.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe for you and for a lot of people, what might help is not um, judging your progress by the number on the scale, right? But by the
Mm,
behavior that you are able to do today. Like, for example, take today compared to yesterday. And today you ate more vegetables, or you ate a little bit better. Like, maybe instead of eating, I don't know, French fries, you made homemade baked potato. That's a move
hmm.
forward, and that means progress, and that all that matters. It's important to measure progress in some way, because there are always hard days, and you need to have some sort of, I don't know, accountability, or with yourself or other people, to show yourself that you are making progress, indeed. But that progress, again, doesn't have to do anything with the number of the scale at all.
Yeah, it's good.
So yeah, like, let me know other, I don't know, what kind of questions you have, what tools you might need to help you on your journey. Like,
Yeah, as I was thinking about our call today, um, I jot down a few questions that I deal with the way I think about. Um, they're just weight loss questions,
okay,
questions I've always had as a person, and I thought this would be a great time to have an expert maybe answer those questions in case there are other people out there who have the same questions as me.
yeah, I mean, I love those questions.
Sure, and I think one of the questions I had asked you offline that you spoke about in your last podcast was, I had mentioned losing the weight and then gaining it back, and gaining like 30 more pounds than I lost
Hmm.
originally the first time. And I am 6 years older now than I was when that happened. So my question is in turning as we get older, our bodies change, and does that factor into weight loss, or is it just a matter of principle when it comes to losing weight?
Our body for sure changes, hormones change, like almost every day something changes. And with age, our metabolism tends to slow down, and our body just doesn't change that fast as when we were young, right? But
Hmm.
there is nothing really that substantial that can delay your weight loss or your health journey by any considerable amount. There is a guy, for
Okay.
example, he's pretty like known in media, in health media circles. His name is Rich Roll, and I believe he started his like health journey, and he was overweight also. He was like, couldn't climb um, a flight of stairs.
Stairs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he became like an ultra marathon person, running faster than a lot of people. And he started, I believe, either 40 or 45, his whole
Wow. Okay.
journey. And right now, you look at him, and he's like the leanest, the fastest. You look at
Yeah.
those people, and you think like they've been running their whole life. But it's not the truth at all. So, and there are a lot of examples like that when people start in 40s and 50s, sometimes 60s, and they get in the best shape of their life. So, unless there is some permanent damage, there is no reason for you to think that your journey will be much harder or is not possible. Um, again,
Okay. That's good. Yeah, that's good
yeah.
news because I think that like when I originally had asked you those questions, in a message, kind of about, um, you know, can I lose the weight that I gained in the past? And I think all of those were coming from a place of fear of just saying, wow, has my body adapted, to this lifestyle so much that it won't actually respond now. But I
It
think what you're saying is important.
Yeah, there is such thing as weight set point, though. It means that, but that doesn't matter like what weight you are in. You can be lean or you can be not that lean. And what it means, the concept of body weight set point, is just that your body likes to have balance and likes to have homeostasis, or basically your body likes to be at the same kind of like weight and health state. And whenever you are attempting any kind of change, it takes some time for your body to start changing. But again, that um, doesn't depend on your age that much or anything or your gender. It just tells you that your body, it takes time for your body to change. But once you
Hmm.
start changing and applying those changes consistently, your body will react faster and faster. And also, the more active you are, the faster those changes happen.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. Um, Next question for you. Um, are sugar substitutes a safe option?
Ah,
And if
yeah.
so, how much could I consume every day within that safe range?
With sugar substitutes, it really depends on what kind of substitutes. Like, I would not take on regular basis or of things like aspartame or saccharin or sucralose, artificial sweeteners basically. But things like stevia or stevia plus monk fruit, also xylitol and erythritol, those are sugar alcohols, and now allulose also are proven to be quite safe, and I used all of them. And especially with stevia and monk fruit, like I literally consumed them for probably 6 months, and I noticed, and if anything, I got leaner. and
Gotcha.
and my
Because I noticed for me, like I was drinking a lot of sweet tea because I'm from the South, so I love sweet tea, and we're just big about our tea, and and lots of sugar in the tea, and lots of sugar in my coffee. And I had originally switched over to using Splenda. I don't know if you're familiar with that
Yeah, but I think
sweetener.
it has either sucralose or some other
It is
doping.
sucralose based. It
Hmm.
is, and I had the reason I'm asking you the question was because I've had mixed reviews amongst friends and peers who've told some say, hey, Splenda is really bad for you, and other people are like, it doesn't really matter. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to ask you because you're a professional and get your opinion on what a safe sugar substitute would be, so that I make sure that I'm moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I will send you a few links for different sweeteners that include only natural ingredients and that a lot of people love, right?
Gotcha.
Artificial sweeteners, they just tend to affect our gut microbiome that affects our brain also and our cravings and our like satiety and appetite. So that those artificial sweeteners, they affect our gut microbiome in that way that it promotes more hunger usually, and it increases
Gotcha.
inflammation. So for those two reasons, I wouldn't eat those sweeteners.
Okay, great. Well, that's good to know. So next question for you. Do you have any recommendations for, or do you recommend supplements to help speed up weight loss? And I asked this question because I've tried them all. And, if it's a pill or if it's will boost your
Hmm.
metabolism type of thing, I've bought it and tried it. And I just was curious if you have any recommendations for that, or if the body is naturally able to do that as a part of the journey.
The body is for sure is able to do that. The only thing is, uh, when it comes to supplements and weight loss and just supplements, to improve your health, I just recommend to get things like multivitamin, um, your electrolytes, make sure that you're getting your minerals like calcium, like magnesium, potassium. And the reason why is because when your body is not in the best shape, especially, you might need a little bit more of those minerals and essential vitamins and minerals, and you might not be getting them from your diet. And your body, when you're not getting micronutrients, essential micronutrients, it gets the signal that you're still not getting enough. You might be hungrier, and also your body might not release weight because you're not getting essential nutrition. And so, what I usually recommend is to get your essential vitamins, minerals in, and maybe adding some things like green tea extract that, people say that studies show that it increases your metabolism and it helps your body to metabolize fats, or things like L-carnitine, help some people, but they're not like miracle things that help people to somehow magically burn more fat or lose fat. They just tend to help your metabolism when you already have healthier diet and healthier lifestyle and exercise program in place to maybe release weight faster and help your fat metabolism.
Okay,
But
great.
when I work with, with many people, I work and try different supplements, healthy supplements that do not have cause any negative health consequences. There wasn't really, like a major change or something that really increased the progress dramatically, so we noticed. But yeah, definitely, I can recommend also for you some vitamins and minerals to support your health and metabolism at the moment,
Okay,
and that will
good.
help you with
Okay.
your hunger, and with being able um, uh, to sustainably have a healthier lifestyle and not have cravings, for certain things, because a lot of cravings also happen because of either mineral deficiencies or vitamin deficiencies or like electrolyte imbalance, and it has nothing to do, with a certain amount of calories in our food.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was actually my next question because, and I think you're answering that now, is, how do I control hunger so I don't binge on high calorie foods? Um, because I think one of the things I deal with is my schedule. And so because of my fast-paced schedule and working and, moving from appointment to appointment
Hmm.
and, then all of a sudden I find I just get hangry. I'm
Hmm.
hungry, and it's just like you're angry, and you mix the two, and you're just like, I need food right now. And for some reason, it's always the high calorie foods that we go to.
Um, there are a few aspects to hunger. First, as I just mentioned, just getting your vitamins and minerals because your body will be craving things if you're not getting those. That's one aspect
Hmm.
of that. Another aspect is eating foods that maintain stable blood sugar and that keep you fuller for longer. And those foods are foods with healthy fats and healthy proteins and with a lot of fiber that add volume to your meal. So your stomach is full with volume, but the volume that comes from fiber-rich foods like, vegetables or, for example, some fruits, and also protein foods that naturally higher in protein and healthy fats, like for example fatty fish, or a piece of, or maybe steak, or sometimes chicken, different kinds of protein, or whole eggs. And so having those food each of your meal, fats, proteins, and a lot of fiber will help you to maintain stable blood sugar and will help you to stay fuller for longer.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, and this is just a follow-up question along those lines. It's kind of a two-part question. Um, and I guess that would also help you to control. Here's my question. How do I handle, I have a really bad sweet tooth,
Hmm.
and I have sugar cravings for those type of foods. So I'm guessing by controlling my hunger, I could also get a handle on those as well, correct?
Yes, I mean, partially that's gonna happen, but that's not gonna happen like overnight, right? So usually what you would want to do is to switch gradually to healthier options. Like for example, when you're craving something sweet, instead of going for something with sugar, something processed, you go for a piece of fruit, right? Or, like I used to do when I was cutting for a competition and I had cravings
Mm-hmm.
for like everything. I would just make myself things like I would take unsweetened vanilla almond milk and mix it with berry flavored electrolyte that was sweetened with stevia. And that actually killed my craving for the sweet taste because that was really sweet, but it didn't have any calories. It actually had some nutrition that my body might have needed. And
Okay.
then when I really craved something sweet, I would eat like a banana or something, or sometimes I would just eat like some food. I would just put some food in my mouth and eat it kind of slowly, and then by the time I'm done, I don't have that intense craving, and that would help me to just stick with it, for the moment and forget about my cravings.
Okay. So, and this is just a follow-up to that. I was told, and I've been told that fruit is good to eat when you're craving sweets. So what is the appropriate amount of fruit that I can have, if it's a sugar substitute? And then can I eat, this is a follow-up question,
Uh-huh.
can I eat an endless amount of fruit and still lose weight?
You cannot eat endless amount of anything unless it's lettuce if you want to lose weight.
Okay.
That's just truth.
Yeah.
Whatever has a lot of calories, like it's still food, and it's still calories and energy. At the end of the day, it still matters. uh, Even though, if you have a lot of weight to lose, what actually happens if you switch to completely whole food diet, right? Nothing like juiced or nothing blended, nothing, I don't know, dried. Then if you eat fruits and vegetables and all these healthy fats and proteins, usually your body would lose weight by itself without you having to control any calories at this moment. Only when you reach to, like I don't know, a normal amount to a normal kind of like weight for your body type, only then you might have to count calories. That's what I noticed with people who have a lot of weight to lose. So at the beginning, you might actually not have to worry about any of that, and you can just, eat whole foods. The only thing I would take care of is that you try to stick to a certain number of meals, like for example, 3 meals or maybe 3 meals and a snack, and then you have at least, like I recommend, 13 14 hours between your last meal of the day and your first meal of the day. So you have that fasting window when your body is not digesting anything, is not, so your digestive system is at rest, because your digestive health is
Gotcha.
also very important. Other than that, at the beginning right now, I wouldn't actually worry about calories. And yeah, I would eat fruits whenever I had cravings, but that only comes to whole fruits. So not dried fruits, not like raisins, but whole fruit.
Okay. That's a good segue into my next question. So I've heard about the calories in, calories out, concept. I'm sure you have too, where people say it's all about just calories in versus, the calories you're expending, and as long as you do that, you'll lose weight. So my question is it all about the calories? in versus calories out, or does the type of food also contribute to the weight loss?
No, I mean, it's not at all just calories in, calories out. Like our body is not a calorie counting machine, it has hormones
Yeah.
that are influenced by the kinds of food that we eat a lot. So for example, if you're eating, I don't know, 5,000 of calories from nuts, it's not the same as if you ate that 5,000 calories from cookies. Not at all. Like your body would react completely different, and you're probably going to lose weight on nut diet, even with that amount of calories. Um, and another thing, first, calories in, calories out, it's not the whole picture at all. And when you're especially at the beginning of weight loss, and if you have a lot of weight to lose, you need to almost entirely focus on the quality of the foods that you eat. And just try to eat as much as possible, only like whole foods.
Okay.
Again, protein, vegetables, fruits, anything that is whole. And then another thing I wanted to mention is, yeah, your body, the thing is, the body always wants to be healthy. Like your body is doing its best to get to a healthier state, to maintain your life for as many years as it can. And some amount of weight we have, fat is healthy, and that is usually more than, maybe some fitness magazine would tell you. And whenever we change the quality of our diet and our lifestyle to a healthier one, our body will release a lot of weight that we got due to like inflammation and different um, unhealthy compounds in processed foods. Our body would release a lot of that weight naturally without, again, our body is not a calorie counting machine. It doesn't really count any calories. So you would lose a lot of weight without having to count anything. And when it seems like you might be in calorie surplus, right? But you still might be losing weight just because that's what your body does when it's in a state of not being that healthy.
Okay. All right. And then these we're segueing right into my questions, which is great. So because of my schedule, I get hungry at night a lot. And do you have a recommendation, or when should I stop eating at night so that I don't stack calories overnight?
I would say,
Do you have a recommendation for how many hours before bed,
yeah,
or
I
or
actually do. Like I always recommend to go to bed as early as you can, right? Because of your work or your lifestyle, and then have your last meal 3 hours before bed. That's ideal because your body needs time to digest, and when you sleep, you don't want to be digesting things. Otherwise, the quality of your sleep going to be compromised, and that's another thing. Sleep is hugely important for your weight loss. So if you don't sleep well on a regular basis or you sleep deprive yourself, your weight loss like journey and cravings the next day can be like your cravings, you're going to have more cravings. That is scientifically proven that people who do not sleep enough the night before, they eat 300 calories on average more than other people who sleep enough. And then yeah, you need to have your last meal like 3 hours before bed. That's what it is recommended by all the sleep experts, so your body has the time to digest your food.
okay? All right, that's wonderful. I have only one last question for you, and which is something I knew that you would know about. Um, Tell me, is intermediate fasting good? And I've heard that it boosts your metabolism and it's good for part of a healthy lifestyle and people who are, looking to lose weight. Is intermediate fasting good, Angela?
It's intermittent fasting, and as I mentioned before, I think that everyone should fast, sleep including, at least like 13, 14 hours a day. Well, not at least, but that's a good thing to do for everyone, right? And the reason is why intermittent fasting works and why it's good for you is because it gives your digestive system time to heal itself and to rebuild the tissues and rebuild the gut lining that does a lot of digestion and absorbs nutrients for you. And so imagine if you have like a factory, or I don't know, a machine that runs 24/7, right? It either digesting food or it's
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, so it's always at work and you never let it rest and lets it recover, like your muscles. If you train 24 hours or your whole day, then your muscles will not grow and will not recover, and at the end of the day you're just going to feel worse. So the same happens with your stomach. If you don't let it rest, and it takes about like 8 hours to digest meal fully and to empty your gut completely. So if if you go to bed and you eat and you wake up and you eat, your body doesn't really have time without food at all. And then what happens is just there is more inflammation. You have a lot of gut issues. Your gut microbiome suffers, and if your gut microbiome suffers, nothing will work in your body. That's just what recent science show. So yeah, intermittent fasting is good for that reason. Whether it speeds up your metabolism or helps you in other ways, that's a question. It's still research. There is no like 100% true answer. But what everybody knows is that helps with your gut health. And again, gut health is hugely important for any aspect of your health. And that's the reason probably that I would recommend you to do intermittent fasting at least for like 13, 14 hours a day.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I'm interested in. I want to work toward that. So
Yeah, and
it's good.
start with 12 hours. That would be great. From dinner to breakfast.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, Angela, I appreciate you answering all these questions for me. I've taken so many notes here while we've been talking, just on what you've shared, and I'm sure that our listeners have as well, and are gaining a lot of perspective today.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Dan, for all your questions and for your time for recording this podcast with me. Yeah, hopefully other people will get a lot of benefits from these questions too. But most importantly, just having all like this knowledge and other knowledge that you could have accumulated somewhere else, just make a program for you to start today and make progress every day. And it doesn't have to be anything hardcore or something super restrictive at all. It just has to be something that give you the sense of progress. And that's it for now. And as we talked before, begin again each day and just try to get a little bit better. And that's all that matters. Because those are the things that work, that the things that don't put a lot of stress and pressure on ourselves.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree.
And always reach out, whenever you have whenever you need an advice or have a question, send me a message or something, and I'll try to help.
Yeah, I definitely will, and I'll definitely keep you updated on my progress.
Yeah, and again, take one day at a time and you can move mountains.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. And have a great day. It's morning out there, so you have a whole day to get better and make progress. So, dude,
I will definitely. Thank you, Angela.
thank you, Dan, and talk to you soon.
All right, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.